Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of Deep True Crime. I'm Manny Rodriguez. In today's episode, we are continuing the coverage of Kouri Richins, the Mormon mother of three who is alleged to have killed her husband by poisoning him with a lethal dose of fentanyl. We're going to be diving into what new information has come out. This is a developing story, so it continues to have new developments come out. And in today's, we're talking about a multi-million-dollar estate that Eric, the husband, now deceased, and the wife were fighting over. She wanted to make this $2 million purchase. He did not want to make this $2 million purchase. And the night that he was supposed to tell her, we will not be making this purchase, is said to be the night that he was fatally killed. Let's go ahead and dive into what we know at this time. Rest in peace to Eric Richins, taken from this world way too soon. Loving husband to a woman who didn't deserve him, loving dad to three wonderful children. He did his best to live his best life as a leader in his family and in his company. Rest in peace, Eric Richins. The Utah mom, who is now alleged to have killed her husband, she wrote a book about grief after allegedly murdering her husband, and we find out that they fought over buying a long, contentious, multi-million-dollar estate, which she closed on the day after he died. Now, the accused murderer, Kouri Richins, she was going to do everything in her power to buy this 22,000 square foot unfinished home in Heber City. But her husband, Eric Richins, he was highly against this idea as he believed it was too expensive. He refused to pay $2 million for it. The night that he was said to have been found deceased, that night, according to his family, he was supposed to tell her, "We are not buying this $2 million home." Next morning, she's calling cops saying, "My husband was cold to the touch when I came into bed with him." Now, this 22,000 square foot mansion, it's between Heber City and Midway, and it had been sitting there up to date now over 6 years unfinished. And according to the locals, to them, this was considered a bit of an eyesore in the valley, as it had been somewhat of a mystery to locals for the past half decade. What happened to this home that began in 2017 and has never been finished? The Wasatch County property, it sits on 10 acres, and it was first constructed in 2017 at 106 North Legacy Way there in Utah. Now, in 2017, Doug Roylance, the previous owner of this home, he started building the house there. The 22,800 square foot house, which Roylance, he had intended to use only as a communal space for rent and usage. This home had been initially valued at $7.6 million. So he thought when this was all said and done, this thing is going to be valued at $7.6 million. So Roylance, he was constructing a dream home with 8 bedrooms, 12 bathrooms, 2 kitchens, and a swimming pool, a golf simulator, and a rock climbing wall. That's what Doug had planned on doing in 2017 when he makes this purchase, right? So it's sitting on 10 acres, and it was set to be there for a while and do some big things. But 2 years later, in 2019, development had paused. Paperwork began mounting, and this was like, what is going on with this Wasatch County home? And so Wasatch County Sheriff's Department, it confirmed that an unattended death had occurred on the site in September of that year. Since Roylance never meant for the property to be his primary residence, he loses interest in the project. Someone close to him lost their lives. And not 100% sure, but I thought there was a husband that was related to this who had passed away. And then that's when they sold this home. So something along those lines. But as the sheriff confirmed, there was an unattended death that occurred on the site by a loved one. It might have been a wife, might have been a husband. I thought it was a husband, but I'm not 100% sure. So Roylance, he eventually stops working on the whole thing. And he's like, this wasn't going to be my primary residence. So he loses interest in this project. And by the end of 2019, all work had stopped on this home. And so Roylance eventually put the unfinished mansion on the market, and he himself relocates to Guatemala, where he operates a philanthropic organization. And so the 10-acre property was purchased by a young couple, Eric Richins and Kouri Richins, and they were relocating to the Heber Valley in January of 2022 after spending nearly 2 years on the market. And so originally everyone thought the couple had intended to finish construction and move into the home until the husband unexpectedly passed away shortly after closing on the property. At least that's what everyone was thinking at the time about this property. So the wife relist the home, and Kouri Richins Realty, which is their realty, was the seller with an asking price of almost $5 million. Then the bombshell drops, and this whole thing starts unraveling how she is said to be behind his murder. And so the Utah woman who wrote this book about grief after allegedly murdering her husband, she fought with him over buying this multimillion-dollar estate. And so, again, she was going to do everything she can to get it, but she did not have a good plan on how she was going to get it. And so then they just go into a battle. He's against it. She's for it. She wants it. But he doesn't want it. He does not want to spend $2 million on this. And so remember in my previous story where she said they were celebrating the purchase of a home that they purchased. This was that home that she was talking about. We did not know this 2 days and 1 day ago. She was going to do everything she can to buy this home. That part we're finding out, right? And so Kouri Richins, she claims that they were celebrating buying the home in March of last year when her husband died from a massive overdose of fentanyl as their 3 kids slept upstairs. However, the man's family is saying a different story. You see, the dead man's family tells investigators that he actually planned to tell his wife they were not buying this mansion. And this so happened to be on the same day she was also told she was being cut out of Eric's will. Now, Kouri Richins, guess what? She closes on this $2 million deal to buy the estate on March 5th of 2022. The day after her husband dies. That day, Eric Richins' sister also goes to the couple's current home in Kamaz, where they were living, where he also passed away. In Kamaz, just outside Park City, and she begins threatening and verbally accosting Kouri. That's according to a civil complaint. Kouri and Eric Richins' sister, they too have their own legal battle, if you follow the story I shared yesterday, for the $3.6 million estate that Kouri had no clue she was taken out of until the very last minute. Now, when Eric Richins' sister gets there and saying like, hey, the threat was you need to leave this home. This is no longer your home. This is the family home. And so Kouri insisted that the sister leave. The sister asserted that Kouri did not own the family home and that she would ensure Kouri was kicked out of the family home. That's what her attorney was alleging in this civil suit for this $3.6 million estate. And so the unfinished mansion that she bought, which also had a 3,000 square foot guest house, was already contentious, with locals saying, again, this is an eyesore. We want this thing to be torn down. And so the author and mother of three bought it from a young widow who ditched plans to move there after her husband died. That's according to Town Lift, as they were thinking that was the original plan. Okay? And so one person even wrote on Instagram that place is cursed, because they really believe that only bad things happen when someone buys that home. Now, again, after buying it for $2 million, Kouri Richins puts it back on the market just 2 weeks later, trying to more than double her money by flipping it for nearly $5 million, as I shared. Right? Now, it is said to be currently under contract, according to realtor Mike Malmrose, who says it is under contract. Now, when I look at the actual listing, as you can see here, I will show the listing to you here. And this is the listing of the home. And you can see it says, let's put it over here. It says right here, contingent sale for $3.75 million. That's what it has under there. And so you can see some of the construction on the inside of the home. And beautiful home. It looks like it had so much potential. But unfortunately, it also looks like it was it was just done in an evil way that, I don't know, it's like, did she really think she was going to get away with all this? That's always my first question. Like, what were you thinking when you planned all of this out? I'm going to guess you weren't thinking, but you can see a lot of these pictures that are right here for you to see on the inside. I mean, they started this whole project and then there was a death, I believe, and so it went through that, and then Kouri buys it, something along these lines. We're still learning about this, so if I have misinformation, I will definitely get back on and share, because this is an ongoing story, and right now it does not look like any charges will be dropped anytime soon against her. But this is the home. You can see they had a lot of plans with this originally. Again, when she buys it, she quickly turns around and sells it. And so that is through there. And again, the local, they objected to this, but the listing still called it an architectural masterpiece and a perfect retreat with breathtaking, unobstructed mountain views. And by the look of it, that seems like a pretty fair description of this property. And so it even shares create your paradise, complete with a butler's pantry, swimming pool, therapy pool, exercise room, golf simulator, full-size indoor volleyball court, climbing rock wall, 2 common rooms, 2 kitchens, and even a room dedicated for virtual reality experiences. So this listing was putting out some great things. It even said the 8 bedrooms with adjoining bathrooms can sleep up to 60 people for those business retreats or family reunions. What's more, this property also includes an additional 3,600 square foot, 3 bedroom, 3 bathroom caretaker's home. Now, the realtor said he doesn't know what the plan B would be if the current buyer in contract pulls out. Again, it's contingent. We don't know contingent of what, right? We don't know all that. However, he said others have shown interest in this property. And Kouri, she's also being sued by two of her tenants for what they describe as unlivable conditions due to mold and mold spores in a home that they purchased from Kouri in 2020. That is according to another lawsuit that she was fighting. I don't know what happens when you're in jail, in prison, whatever. Now, as I shared in previous posts, she was on a show called something Utah. You can see it there. Good things Utah, something along those lines. And she was there. This was about 2 months before she was arrested. And so she gets on this show and she is promoting her children's book, Are You With Me? Which is a book that was, something that was to help her kids get through the grief of losing their dad. You see that angel up in the cloud? That was supposed to be a depiction of their dad looking down. And now when I see that picture, I think of him saying, "You're not getting away with killing me either." That's how I see that. I don't know how you see that, but he looks like in this picture, I'm happy you're not getting away with this, And unfortunately, she did this to help the kids get through grief. Lady, you added so much more grief. These 3 kids will forever struggle in their life. No thanks to you. Or should I say, all thanks to you. You forget how easily these things can affect a person. Why do people think they can get away with this? I'll never know. But prosecutors allege that she served her husband a Moscow mule laced with roughly 5 times the lethal dose of fentanyl. She claimed she'd gone to sleep in one of their kids' room and woke to find her husband dead. Police later unearthed Richins' alleged connection to an accused drug dealer who admitted to selling her fentanyl pills. And, your phone gives a lot of information. So if you're going to do something wrong, you best to know they're going to use your phone for any piece of evidence that they can find. And that helped them find this drug dealer. I think this might be the person named CL in the charging documents. And so she had this connection to this drug dealer who admits to selling her these pills. And the accused killer allegedly went back for stronger ones, asking for some of the Michael Jackson stuff. Now, Michael Jackson is alleged to have, have something to do with some strong, heavily, I don't even know. So I'm not going to play like I'm a doctor and understand this stuff. The widow, she is charged with first-degree aggravated murder and multiple counts of second-degree possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute. She is due in court on May 19th. And we will continue the coverage as we continue to learn more. Because this is a shocking development day after day as we continue to find out so much more that is behind this case against Kouri Richins. Rest in peace to someone who was an amazing human being, and a lot of people continue to share how much they miss him. And this wife decided to allegedly do the unthinkable and take away this young man's life. This has been another episode of Deep True Crime. My friends, be careful out there. You never know what can go wrong, the ugliness in a person's heart. Be alert, be careful, be aware. We'll see you again. See you soon. Take care. Peace.